It seems like today there's a lot of very angry PlayStation fans kind of just blowing up the internet and lodging some very valid criticisms against Sony themselves. And I want to talk about their anger because I feel like it's very, very justified. This is something that needs to be addressed. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Now, before we even dig into this messy topic, please, if you would, give this video a giant thumbs up. It helps to like, and also subscribe if you haven't already. Now, this is a situation that I feel like kind of stems from a separate problem. A lot of gamers talk about stuff being free. They talk about the free games, which in fact is not technically correct. When people talk about the things you can play on Xbox Game Pass, even though there is hundreds and hundreds of games you can play that are very, very fun, you're still paying a monthly fee to access them. Same goes with something like the online service for the Nintendo Switch. Yes, it's neat that there's all these Nintendo 64 games, but even though they feel free, they in fact have an upfront cost. Now here's my thoughts on this, is the fact that a lot of us kind of consider them to be free games because we're going to pay for the online service anyways. These systems, these consoles, they require you to pay just to access the online multiplayer aspect of it. Since we're going to be paying this anyways, I guess people sort of just think of it as like this fun added bonus. But the problem with this is that while Xbox Game Pass keeps getting bigger and better games and Nintendo Switch keeps putting the best retro classics, it seems like PlayStation Plus downright sucks and in fact keeps getting worse. In fact, let me take a look at it. So they just announced the new PlayStation Plus games coming in February, and quite frankly, everybody is pissed. Now, this is basically an old fighting game, a freaking roller coaster crafting game, whoop-de-doo, and Tiny Tina's Escape on Dragon Keep, Assault on Dragon Keep. Personally, I was very excited for Tiny Tina because I've been wanting to play through the Borderlands games again anyways. But here's the issue with this. Just scroll down to the replies and you could see so much freaking rage. People saying this is not a good way to reply to Microsoft buying Activision. Another awful month. Even people pointing out things like right here, Tiny Tina, this is literally downloadable content for a game that came out 9 years ago. People even replying, I like this, a guy's named Sony Pony, and he just put L. It's weird that this is what they think is a proper showing of it. Now, to be clear, I don't think that this is the worst month ever. The problem is that they've just been lagging behind more and more. The January games kind of sucked. The December games were completely pathetic. If you missed it, they gave out a special edition of Godfall, which objectively is the very worst PlayStation 5 game. And you know what? They didn't even give you the full game. It was a worthless, tiny version of the game that basically gave you a max level character. It skips all the beautiful environments, which objectively are the best part of the game. It is such a worthless hunk of junk. It shows that somebody at Sony just doesn't care. But when I first heard this, I kind of started thinking, what's causing this? How is this actually happening? So I went to the PlayStation Plus subreddits. This is where people sort of just discuss the different games that are coming, kind of getting hyped about leaks and rumors and stuff like that. Because honestly, the reason this community even exists is that PlayStation Plus games used to be incredibly hyped. It feels like just a few years ago that there was this completely different strategy to Sony's PlayStation Plus experience, which was basically that they would typically give you really big Sony exclusives. If they released like an Uncharted game and everybody loved it and everybody bought it, then usually a year or two later they'd put it on PlayStation Plus as a way to push you into trying out the DLC or just trying out the next big sequel. If they were about to release like, Killzone 4 or something like that, they're going to give you a previous versions of the game to sort of stoke you and get you ready for the sequel. It was something that did two things simultaneously. It built up hype and it built up people being excited to keep your PlayStation Plus subscription. What makes PlayStation Plus work, if you haven't tried it before, is that basically when you get these games, they go into your storefronts and then you keep them forever. As long as you're subscribed to PlayStation Plus, you can re-download these games whenever you want. And it's sort of this gateway drug. Free games to make you want to keep paying for the free games. But the issue is that now everybody is just talking about the fact that this is absolutely the worst lows. Like here's an interesting one right here. Sony keeps hitting new lows. Again, this is from the PlayStation Plus subreddit. You can see somebody just posted this 1 hour ago. The rage is palpable. Borderlands The Handsome Collection was a PlayStation Plus title in 2019, and that included Borderlands 2, Borderlands the Pre-Sequel, and all accompanying DLC for both titles. One of this month's PlayStation Plus titles is just Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, which was included in that back in the day. It solely exists as advertising for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. You thought Godfall Challenger Edition was insulting? This is if Godfall was a 10-year-old game and we got Godfall Challenger Edition after already receiving Godfall 3 years prior. What's funny is that everybody's talking about the fact that there was a fake leak of somebody saying that we're going to get a Pepe Pig game. Even that was better. Like, all of these comments are the fact that this is just such a worthless, terrible thing. But I like this one right here. I don't think it's unreasonable to be upset. After how hard Xbox has been clowning on PlayStation, I honestly expected something more. I'm having a really hard time imagining what Sony is thinking. There's a potential for a mass exodus on their hands. Instead of doing something about it, they turn around and slap their subscribers in the face. I've never owned an Xbox, but given the choice between a PlayStation 5 and a Series X, I'd go for the Xbox Series X. Sony isn't willing to try. Now, to me, I feel like this is a little bit of hyperbole. This is people that are obviously angry because the news is so fresh. This is just another disappointing month of PlayStation Plus. It feels like a lot of these angry comments and stuff are sort of based on a very specific point, which is the fact that used to, it was amazing to be a PlayStation fan because they were kind of just dominating in every territory. Their exclusive games look great. Their DLC was explosive. Their online games had some of the best servers. Like, it felt like they were trying to really just fire on all cylinders at all times. And now PlayStation Plus games kind of suck. You know, the exclusives feel really, really spaced out. I still love my PlayStation a lot. I'm super excited for Horizon Forbidden West here in just a couple weeks, but it feels like PlayStation is definitely beginning to fall behind. And I've seen some conspiracy theories that this is part of a grander strategy. So in case you missed it, there has been some talks about the fact that PlayStation is about to do an Xbox Game Pass style subscription service. Now, there's different narratives as to what it'll be called, if it's going to be called Spartacus or Omega. There's been some fake leaks talking about the fact that it may be called like PlayStation Infinite. But basically what's going to be happening is that you will have to pay a higher subscription fee to get access to downloaded games. On the surface, this will be similar to Xbox Game Pass because you're going to get those upfront exclusive games. But part of what this is saying is that basically they're going to keep giving more retro games over time. So maybe if you pay for this Spartacus service, you're going to get access to PlayStation 2 games digitally or PlayStation 1 games, which to me would be very, very cool. But the rumor I keep seeing going around is that PlayStation is trying to essentially make PlayStation Plus less talked about so that we all just laser focus on Spartacus. I think for sure that if Spartacus exists, if this new PlayStation Game Pass thing really exists, I think they're going to try and charge just like double what we're currently paying. So if you're paying $10 a month for PlayStation Plus, they're going to charge $20 a month for something like this, just as a way to sort of instigate you to say, hey, look, it's PlayStation Now, it's PlayStation Plus, and it's also now PlayStation Spartacus all in one giant package. It's retro, it's new, it's everything at once. And if that's their marketing tactic, it feels incredibly sleazy. It feels degrading. It feels like they're trying to push us into a box to see how much each individual gamer is willing to pay every single month. Stuff like this just kind of annoys me because I do love my PlayStation. I do have a very big PlayStation collection. I've got special editions. I've got physical versions of games that I also own digitally just because I want to try and support the developers. It feels weird that we're in a spot now where PlayStation just seems to not care about their fan base. They just want to push those numbers up, whatever it takes. And that just feels deeply disrespectful. But what do you think about all this? Are you excited for the PlayStation Plus games? Does this feel like a big non-issue? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And please, if you enjoyed this video, like it. Let's see if we can get this video up to 3,000 likes. And also subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. It is so cold in my house right now that I'm actually glad to be filming a video because these spotlights are keeping me incredibly warm. Oh, it feels good. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.